Hey, we're live.
Right, we made it.
We made it. Welcome to episode 2 of our live podcast, where it's James and I talking about all things flesh and blood.
Saying two around our Haven locals just has a whole other meaning from the Yu-Gi-Oh video. Anyone says two, they go,
You got two. You got two. So we got a lot to talk about this week. Or do we?
Nope.
I mean, there's a lot to talk about. We have Worlds coming up. We have...
Yes, which is insanely close. I can't believe it's like 9 days. Something like that.
People are talking about like, oh, it's like right around the corner. And it is. It's like, what, 2 weeks? Not even. Like you said, 9 days, week and a half. I'm excited for Worlds. I'm playing the Calling. You're playing in a bunch of side events.
Yep.
I hope to see a lot of the... Hey, Brenda Lauren in the chat. Let's go. Glad to see you. Glad to see you back. Woo!
My current strategy for Worlds, some people have these insane deck lists. My strategy is I will be crawling around on the floor in case people drop tickets to pick those up and pick up some nice
like a gremlin, like a Chuck E. Cheese.
Don't mind me. Just...
When we went to Nationals, it was really funny. There was people going around trying to pick up the silly boxes we got,
the deck boxes?
The storage boxes, like the long ones.
Oh, okay.
That they were giving out for Nationals competitors. They gave you a ticket to claim it. Well, you can imagine a lot of Flesh and Blood players like, I don't want this. So they were just like leaving them on the table.
Yeah.
And there were like scavengers going around,
I'm picturing
them.
You know when they show like in movies usually, but it's like horse racing and they lose, so they like take the tickets and just rip them, and you just see papers like everywhere all over the gambling area.
Yeah.
Picturing that sort of thing. I mean, it is kind of silly that's what they gave. Was it the entry, like for buying a ticket?
So Nationals was free, and it was like the Nationals competitors. Like they do, Flesh and Blood's pretty good about celebrating when people like qualify or anything like that. So giving you something. However, I would have just, the Cold Foil Young Kano was given out for people who played in the Calling. But you had to buy an extra package for that, and I think that's kind of crazy. Like it wasn't just for playing the Calling. You didn't get one for playing in Nats. You only got the Cold Foil Kano if you paid extra, like a special ticket going into the Calling.
All right,
that's kind of crazy.
That's kind of weird. And on top of that, I guess they're like, so enjoy your Young Kano, and we're gonna ban Stormstriders.
Yeah.
So
maybe they knew, and they're like, to make it up to everyone, like, hey, we know you liked Kano, and we're really sorry. Here's a Cold Foil Kano.
That's very courteous of them. Okay, I mean, yeah, and I saw a few of the deck boxes when you guys came back.
The long boxes or whatever. Yeah.
But other than that, we were also going to talk about Grand Archive and how we
got
a lot of fun. We've really been enjoying it. We can kind of delve into when we first found out about it. We can also talk about, we did our own, we printed out our own decks.
Yep. I already want to change them. At least mine. Which is a good thing. We care. We care enough to want to change them.
Yeah. And it's not, like, the hardest part is cutting them, which thancfully this time around Kayla did it.
Yeah.
But it's
awesome.
it's not too much prep. And we hopefully have about, what is it? October 26th, so November, December, January, so about 3 months.
3 months for the Kickstarter, and
version.
4 or 5 months for the for Alter Edition, I guess, the unlimited or
sounded
set release.
It sounded like late April for that version.
Yep.
So
still trying to hammer a day for that, at the Haven, local shop that sponsors the show, 10% off singles at thehaventabletop.com using promo code TEAMACG. Saves you 10% on already really good, well-priced singles.
Thank you.
Try
our best.
But yeah. So we have Flesh and Blood Worlds. We have a little bit of Grand Archive somewhere in there, and then just
other than that, what have we been doing before we jump into all that? So against my better judgment, everyone's better judgment. I did resub to WoW this morning.
Oh no!
Just because that free thing hit.
I'm waiting. I'm waiting as long as I can. I'm going in when like I can go to the Dragon Isles. That's when I will sub.
Okay, so that's
like 2
November 20th or something like that. I'm not gonna talk long about this. The strangest thing though is, as far back as I can remember, when you jump back in WoW right now, your entire UI is completely different. It's way different than it's ever been. It kind of reminds me of 14, where you can go into the options and you can change the UI and everything kind of clicks and you can resize everything. It's kind of strange. But now there's little things like when you're, let's say you're in Stormwind and you have rest XP, you see little Z's, like an animation, come out of the portrait, which is like, who cares? But there's just a lot of little touches that they kind of
that's good
updated. It's pretty neat, but there's no reason to really jump back in unless you need a level. Like you need to get to 60 really fast so you're ready. I would wait until it launches, but wait like a week because launch day you'll be in queue time for 6 hours, and then you'll get in, it'll crash, and then you're back at the beginning of the queue. And if the Overwatch 2 launch is anything like how the WoW one will be, well, but anyways, it was okay. Interesting, but like no need to jump back in until
No, and it's funny, like I skipped all of Shadowlands, so like I skipped like probably like 80% of BFA, so I'm like lukewarm on going into Dragon Isles, Dragonflight. I think it'll be fun, but anyway, back to trading card games.
Other than that, and then so as far as trading card games, you're playing in the.
I'm playing the Calling.
In the Calling, have you settled on a hero?
Yeah, I'm playing Briar. I've gone to the wooded dark side.
I think that's perfectly fine. I think I wouldn't say it's the easiest deck as far as your choices, but maybe it's the most consistent.
It's as far as consistency goes, I would probably say Oldham's more consistent. I think Oldham. The problem for me with Oldham is I played him that first Calling, like at Nationals. One of the first Callings he was legal for. The mirror is insufferable. I know, like, there's been text put in for the mirror, and it's very probably like, it's almost like a game of Commander, like in the sense that like it takes forever, and micro decisions can matter way later, but it's not super apparent, and so it's just like, it's kind of crazy, like how much, like going into it, like I just don't want to play Oldham mirrors.
I think that's perfectly fine. I also think. Let's say there's only like 10 Oldhams going to this event. Right. Let's just say it. Somehow you will probably get into a mirror match. Every single one.
That happened.
Yeah, I know.
That happened to me. I was at the Calling at the first Nationals when Tales of Aria was legal. Literally, the field was like a bajillion Briars, which I wanted to see all day long, and then there was like literally like 12 Oldhams on the field, like 12 Oldhams, and like all I wanted to see was not Oldham, and of course that's what I saw. All
right, and I'm sure back to back to back, that gets pretty fatiguing. Yeah. Like I know
2 Oldhams back to back.
You want to be there for a good time, but you're also there to be competitive, and it is what it is. But I'm sure mirror after mirror after mirror, you're just like drained. And I mean, how many rounds typically is a Calling?
A Calling is, I want to say it's 8 on the first day, typically, and 4 or 5 on the second day.
So I'm sure by round 6, you're ready to like check out, especially with all those Oldham mirrors and all that.
Yeah. So. No, it was not so fun. Absolutely. When you're going through that, literally, I remember, so this is what happened to me. So I'm sitting there, and I'm playing an Oldham mirror, like the first one of the day, and I lose, and it was a long game. It didn't go to time, but it was a pretty long game, and then mental fatigue is definitely a thing, but it was a pretty long game, and I remember I was like, I mean, that was long, but I'm still X1. It's okay. We can go to the next one. We'll be all right. And literally, I was like, anything but Oldham, and I'll be happy. Literally anything. It could be Prism, which was legal at the time, which was an auto loss for Oldham. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I would be happier seeing Prism than another Oldham right now. Literally sit down. He goes, what are you playing? And I'm like, Oldham. He's like, oh, so am I. I was like, and I almost got up and walked away. I'm glad you didn't. I didn't, but that was the craziest game of my life. So we were speed fabbing. We were like, I swear. So at the time I played one Remembrance, specifically for the mirror, and I pitched it like on turn 2 because I was like, yeah, you don't want to see Remembrance early, whatever, right? So pitched it on turn 2. I see it again, which doesn't feel like that far away, and I'm not shuffling my deck, so it's just cycling.
Yeah. And
I look up at the clock. And there's still 35 minutes left. And I was like, I cycled my deck in 15 minutes. It's because we're just...
Yeah.
Literally, because this was before people were really putting in Sledge to kind of crack the Oldham mirror to at least make it, like, playable. So we were just both Winter's Wailing each other. And Winter's Wail is literally, like, Shield, Crown of Seeds, card, and you blocked it.
I was going to say, I'm curious what your health was the first time you like, lapped... with your deck.
Probably like 37 to 36.
Yeah, no, that's terrible.
Something stupid. And I'm sorry. Shield, Crown of Seeds, Earth React, and you've covered it.
Okay.
And you didn't give up any cards for that, and neither one of us are giving up cards for this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we were just like, and we get to this point where it's we must have had between 40 and 50 turns a person.
Okay.
Like each. Like just like pitch, swing hammer, go, pitch, swing hammer, go, pitch, swing hammer, go. And like the longest time of all of that was literally just resolving Chronocies to the point we were just like not even saying it. Just like pitching and spinning the card underneath.
So is there any reason that one of you isn't doing like anything else? Like any other attack actions?
If, like, you got to the point where there was how is that winnable? Do you just take the draw? We actually finished that game. I lost.
My condolences. Okay.
And that's when I dropped. I was 4-2, which is a very good record still, but I was just so drained. I was like, I'm done. I'm so done.
Yeah.
So the way I lost, the way he won was, yes, there was a couple turns, it's not just hammer the whole time. It was, a few back and forths, he would take an ice hammer and then swing hard. And then I would do my best to block that. And then somewhere along the line, I would eat a ice hammer and Oak and Oldham back or something. But even those were like, we've developed some lore with the video screens in the background. I'm glad you appreciate that. Yes. That's the thing.
I mean, that's who it was intended for, and we got it. So.
Yeah, we got it.
Now, when you say you lost, did you lose as in like the normal win conditions, or did you just go like...
I lost to 3 glacial footsteps in a row that were fused.
Okay.
So he goes 10 dominate, 10 dominate, 10 dominate. And I was like, well. And I felt like I was actually winning that in a way, because to me, the Oldham mirror less matters about health pools and more the deck. And I could definitely tell my deck had a lot more cards left in it than his. Mm-hmm. It just happened to be that he played it really well. I mean, I don't remember his name because it was like a year ago. But he played it really well in the fact that I'm pretty sure he stacked the deck through cycling to where it would be glacial, blue, and an ice card.
Which is pretty good. Like a nice tactic, but it's crazy that was a year ago.
Yeah, that was the Nationals that Tarek won.
Mm-hmm.
That calling was the one I played in. So yeah, that was it was intense. I did all right at Nationals too. I actually had a really good draft that year, but just wasn't able to string it together with the old man.
Was that your first event with Oldham?
It was, and actually I had very little practice on it. I have a habit of doing that.
I have noticed with our group, so to speak, one by one, an event pops up, and they're like, "I'll just bring Oldham." Like I think everyone went Oldham last time, and he's just like, yeah, I think Evan did all right. I mean, he made day 2.
Yeah.
But I think you'll have a lot more fun on Briar.
And I've gotten a few games in with Briar, not as many as I'd like, but it's not. When I brought Oldham to that event, I literally I was just like,
it's kind of like, I'll just do the Oldham thing.
Yeah, I was like, I think Oldham's a good call, but like, and it was. I actually think for Nationals, it was a great call. If I had more practice into the Briar meta, and this was 0 cost Briar, so literally any disruption like really hurt that deck.
Oh wait, so like Ball Lightning and all that.
Okay. Right. Yeah, and the way they beat Oldham was they would play like Sting and Sorcery, Ball Lightning, Ball Lightning, Ball Lightning. So then you're coming in for like a bajillion Arcane and the increasingly higher hitting Ball Lightnings. But yeah, so this Nationals, I'm planning to go with Briar. I'd like to get in more testing, but just haven't. Been busy, but gotten a few games, a couple armories here and there. We have like 2 more weeks of armories to go to where hopefully I can make it tomorrow, but we'll see.
It was fun watching you play Sean. I think it was Sean yesterday. He was on Oldham, right?
Yep, he was on Oldham.
And there was some eye rolls, and that's perfectly fine. With Mount Heroic.
Yep.
I was rolling my eyes because I was sitting next to you, and you'd have this hand, and you're like, "Oh my, what is this garbage? What is this? Like the fates hate me." And then like next turn, you're like, this is doable." And by doable, it was just this insane 20 damage turn. And poor Sean.
Well, I can't remember what card it was, but there was definitely a hand where I drew it up, and I was like, "This hand is not good. Mm-hmm. This hand is very not good." And I blocked with my Crown of Providence.
Yep.
Cycled a card in my hand, which you don't normally do. You usually cycle the card in your arsenal. But I was like, "Oh, this card's dead in my hand." And I wish I could remember what card I drew, but it unlocked my hand. It was like, "Oh,
yeah."
This is good now.
There was you didn't like cackle, but there was definitely like a little grin that snuck out, and I'm like, "Yeah, you're Briar. Like you're gonna murder him next turn." And there's always that Rosetta Thorn at the end. That's just the extra life. And in case you forgot, 2 and 2.
Yep, Rosetta Thorn is the most broken weapon in the game. I believe James White when he said something along the lines of like, "Oh, if we had the demon came out." What? Oh yeah, and I did 40-0 Andrew.
Is that Andrew?
That's Shop
okay.
Yeah. But I do believe Rosetta Thorn would not have existed in the form that it does if they had more time to test Tales of Aria. I think a lot of things in Tales of Aria would not have come out the way that they did. Mm-hmm. I think we talked about this last week, but yeah, I just think that Briar should have been like way more focused on like the actual elements in her deck. They almost don't matter outside of Channel Mount Heroic and some Earth cards.
Well, especially before certain cards got banned, it was even worse because you had Plunder runs in there and it was just pure generic.
The 0 cost Briar was silly. I mean, that was like they didn't care about the elemental cards like at all, except for I don't even know, like a handful of them. It'd be like lightning surges.
Yeah,
and you're like, oh, it's just another 0 for 4 go again.
Well, that was the thing. 0 for 4 now. What was there was a Rudy promo for it, but like if it's played from the arsenal, it adds damage and you draw a card. It's like a guy with lightning coming down. I'm trying to remember what card it was, but people always play the red one from arsenal. You play it, and it's like your next elemental attack action gets there you go, electrify.
Okay.
Were they playing that? Because I know that's not a 0 cost. I think it's a 1 cost. But drawing a card and having a non-attack action out.
Maybe a version did, but they definitely, like, in the original version of Briar, they were definitely not. I don't think so, because you just didn't want to pitch a card.
So just for the sake of consistency,
you just didn't pitch cards. Like, you ran like a package of blues, I think, for the Oldham mirror specifically. I say mirror, but the Oldham matchup specifically, and you
didn't have Icelander at the time.
No.
So okay, yeah.
Yep, no Icelander, just Oldham. That's all you were worried about, and so. If you had that like Sting of Sorcery, Ball Lightning turn, you set that up, and then you were like, oh, I'm definitely winning whenever that comes back around because it's exponentially higher arcane. And then you would run Tunic, and the only time you would really Rosetta Thorn is on Tunic turns.
Yeah, which isn't that bad. It's like every 3 turns I get to ping you for an extra 4.
Another 4. It's like 4, 4, 4, 4, 4.
Right.
4 for 4.
And the mix of it, like you didn't have Oasis Respite, so you couldn't just block out Rosetta like that. You'd have to pitch a card to block, then you have to pitch for Arcane. Like, no, it's disgusting.
Yeah.
I am hoping that I can get Evan a Marvel Rosetta Thorn. I know that's not happening, but he'd be so happy.
I don't think we're getting a Marvel Rosetta Thorn. I don't think in Dynasty we're getting anything like that.
Right.
I think all the Marvels are reserved for cards in the set. Yeah. If we were to ever get like a Marvel Rosetta Thorn, I would imagine it's like in a promo. Or as a promo.
Yeah, I think so. Last week you brought up that all the weapons are kind of in that room, like the main,
like the throne room or whatever.
So if you had all these weapons and then like tucked in a corner, there's like a Rosetta Thorn, we'd be like, "The hell is this?
Did he kill Briar?"
Yeah, so I don't think we'll see it.
Speaking of Dynasty, is there anything we went through like all the spoilers that have happened so far, and we haven't gotten any this week? So, is there anything that like maybe you thought about? Like in terms of like
that's currently spoiled
that like you're excited about or like maybe you want to test with
so I only messed around with Dash for a couple of games, and I was testing some like weird jank deck,
all the ways I can play rock.
I'm really sold on the gun.
Yep.
The Harambe blaster. Some people say yeah there are some people that are saying like you can't use it enough, or like you have Evan's theory where you just block it out and all because you're boosting constantly. But I think I don't know. I really like it. I haven't really tested in my head the whole. It's the blue card that blows up equipment.
The powder keg.
Yeah, powder keg. I think that card's cool too. But of all the cards so far, I'm gonna do the boost version of Dash.
Yeah, the Hanabi Blaster is out of the cards we've seen so far. I think Hanabi Blaster is like the most viable, just on paper. It looks great. It has overpower built on it. It swings for free. I know you have to satisfy the condition of boosting, playing like, 3 boost cards.
You're naturally doing it. You're doing it naturally, I should say.
And it's infinitely better than Talishar.
Yes.
And they're already running Talishar, so...
And I think you pointed out you don't have to boost 3 times. You just play 3...
Boost cards.
So...
So, like, especially, like, on the turn where you don't have the second Steam counter, like, you're getting the first one. Mm-hmm. When you play that 3rd boost card, you don't have to boost it. Right. That's, like, the bigger, like, implication of that, I think. You're not like, oh, I have to boost a card just to satisfy my gun's condition, so... Gotta use Time Snap to save deck. Yeah, I guess you could do that, but I honestly think Blitz, I think they have enough tools to get through a lot of the high blocking cards or high blocking decks outside of specifically Oldhim. Oldhim might be the only like problem, but then I think you could still like side into, not even side, and I know it's Blitz, but I think you could, or at least I'm talking about Blitz, I think you could still play like 1 induction chamber in the list, start the induction chamber, go pistol, and still play that like I'm gonna outvalue you game over time against Oldhim. I mean, all her cards block for 3 except for like a handful. So yes. I mean, it's not like you're dead in the water against Oldhim, and I think you have that counterplay to like at least try. But yeah, I think Hanabi Blaster is like super fun.
Yeah, and something I think they've done it with a lot of the classes so far is it seems like every class is getting 1 new piece of equipment. There's like they're getting a weapon and a piece of equipment. Like Ninja got the vest, Runeblade got the headpiece. I'm wondering what Mechanologist could get that like they don't really have gloves that are Mechanologist gloves.
No, they run like Goliath Gauntlet, especially in that one.
So I'm wondering if there's something that's like when they boost, they already have too many things that are like when they boost they get resources, but I don't know. It would be interesting to see that if they got like unique gloves.
Gloves, please. Brandon, what would you want to see on the gloves? Like what would they do? I don't even know. Like are you just gonna like, because it would have to be better than Goliath Gauntlet, and Goliath Gauntlet is really good. I mean it's +2 on something. Usually it gives it a break point, and if you could play it on something like that's strong, gloves have to do with damage. Yeah, I think Ryan's pointing out that like always the if you guys haven't noticed, the different pieces of armor are all in relation to something specific. So
to counter a specific line of play.
No. What I'm saying is like so chest piece is always resource driven.
Okay.
So like tunic, Teklo Foundry Heart, it's always resource.
Yeah.
The new flame scale furnace.
So if that's the case, then maybe the gloves are like when you boost, pay 1 and you get an extra damage, kind of like the warrior gloves, or you have to fulfill.
That would have to be an L. That would have to be an L.
Okay.
Oh, if it's like not a one-time use.
Okay.
Like.
Which it would probably be majestic if that's the case.
Yeah.
How many? I know there's 5 legends. One of them is the Emperor.
Oh, there are 5 legends.
Yeah.
So one's the Emperor, one's the Crown.
Is that the gold coin crown? Okay. Is that it?
I think that's all we know so far.
Okay.
Yeah. And we know we're getting a new class. We don't know what new class. Just one that was in the lore book, but.
Oh, that's right. And I was like, okay. I completely forgot that. I was like Wizard Warrior, but that's not a new class. It's just like a new Royal is a new thing.
Water Brute. Just get a.
What was everyone saying?
Giant frog water brute.
I forgot what classes everyone was saying, but like people kept mentioning that there's like an assassin that was spotted in the artwork or something like that.
So there's like a lot of like, is the Emperor going to be assassinated? And that's where we see the new assassin class or something like that. Because he's only young, and they specifically said he's only going to be young. So like, what happens? Does he just like stop growing?
He got bored of it. He switched to Grand Archives.
I also like that his name is Emperor. Just like
that's his first name.
This is God-given name. Just like his parent-given name. Just like, all right, honey. Come here, Emperor. He's like a baby.
He's destined for greatness. What can I say? I don't know. So I haven't read the Uprising lore. Mm-hmm. Is he still Emperor when this whole thing is going? This whole conflict is going on?
I don't really know. All I know about the Emperor is that when he was becoming Emperor, he like goes into a cave or something, and there's like a hot spring of like really hot water or lava. It's hard for me. I don't remember. I read it a long time ago, like when it first came out. But and he like communes with the Aesir or something like that.
Okay.
And the Aesir, I think, are the like evil beings from like, you know, the monasteries, like letting loose or something, like the ancient beings of like.
Which we haven't been there yet.
Devastation yet. It's like how you view Monarch.
Oh, okay.
Monarch was like the monastery versus Solana, and so yes, like I think canonically, like most of the story of Monarch takes place in Solana because they're like being overrun.
Yeah. Okay.
Which I would like to see way more in product. I would like to see that story kind of played out over the course of a set or two. I think that would be really cool to see. Like, oh look, Solana's getting like wrecked. And then the next set, you're like, oh, here's the, like, Solana. It's like, the cards are, like, all very, like, sad. Like, oh, Solana, like, fell. And things like that. I would like to see the story continue through the lore.
So you want, like, a Return to Monarch set? Kind of like how, something like that.
If we return to Monarch.
we need Levia support somehow.
Levia support.
Levia, yeah.
And whoever says Chain gets anything needs to be like...
No, it's like, you know, I forgot what people were calling it. It wasn't Seeds of Agony, but they were like, if they made a new one, it's like Seeds of like mild discomfort or something like that.
Seeds of mild discomfort. So, plot twist: assassinated by Ira coming from the Aether. Oh well, okay, but here's the weird thing: Ira supposedly is like from like a long time ago.
Oh,
she's like not a current young hero. She like founded the clan that like is against Katsu or something like that. Again, it's been so long since I've read any of that lore, so I'm pretty sure Ira is from like a long time ago.
Okay.
All right.
That'll work.
I'm pretty excited for the Emperor just because I want to say like I think the Emperor has to be like there has to be a way to like I just refuse to believe that he is.
I couldn't even hold it. I'm so sorry.
I just refuse to believe that the Emperor is just some like meme, like it's a joke. It has to be. I will hold on to this fact or this belief that they will have cards that like either his weapon or some kind of specialization that's just gonna like unlock him.
I can't imagine him going up against Kano, and he does arcane damage. It's like, hope you got blues, and he's like, well, actually, and just blows up. Like it's just such a weird design to go around. I hope so too. Warrior Wizard does sound cool.
Oasis Respite. See, you can play. You can give up 2 cards to block 4 damage. Only be left with. Oh, Arana's Prayer is actually like pretty good because it'll always reveal a red.
Is that the angel?
Yeah,
the stained glass card.
It's an instant, I think, and it says like reveal the top card of your deck, prevent the next X damage minus the pitch value of the card on top.
Yep.
And so I think the red starts at 6, if I'm not mistaken. So like you're always going to defend 5 arcane. So
thank you for explaining that, by the way. I have never seen someone. It's not like a complete garbage card, but I've never seen someone actually play it. So.
When decks want to play a multitude of colors, like red and blue and yellow and all that stuff, you don't want to play cards like that too much because, you know, you don't want to rely on it. So when people play like Ravenous Rabble, they're typically not relying on the Rabble to do something. Hitting a red is great. Hitting Tome is really great.
Yeah.
And it's like Ravenous Rabble for 5. You're like...
I think it was something like that with Sean. You were like Ravenous Rabble, and you flipped a 1, and you're like, 4 go again, that's fine. Ravenous Rabble, guess I'll get another 4.
One, yeah.
And he was just like, wow, oh, such pity.
You did it.
Not a 5, but yeah.
But what I was saying is that like you're not relying on the Ravenous Rabble in that situation. Like more damage is better, but a lot of times when you're playing a defensive card, you're relying on it to do something for you because obviously, like if I'm playing an Arana's Prayer against like a Blazing Aether, not a Blazing Aether, before that, the Aether Wildfire, I don't want to like play the Arana's Prayer. They're like Aether Wildfire for 5 with a staff or whatever, and I'm like Arana's Prayer, and then you flip over a blue, you're like block 3.
Yeah.
Take a lot.
Complete trash. Yeah, that's true. They'll have to spoil more things. And again, we brought up last week how there were all these art cards, and there was like the Heart of
Flukenbox had them. Yeah.
So spoilers start Saturday.
It's like pretty much as we're like taking off.
Next week. Okay.
Yeah. So it's not this week. Oh wait, no, it's this week.
Okay. That's what I thought.
It's this Friday.
Okay.
So this Friday. That's crazy.
So we'll have a lot to talk about next week.
Oh, next week we'll have so much to talk about.
So,
because especially last thing, the way the spoilers are happening this year or this set, it's like the 30th is like 3, and then the 31st is like 3, and then the 1st is like 20.
You're gonna have to monitor the Discord pretty heavily because everyone's just gonna be freaking out about everything, and it's like one thing at a time, folks. Slow down. Can we do a thumbnail? And we're just like, this changes everything. No. Dear content creators around the world, I hate it. I hate it so much. A new deck box comes out, and they're like, this will change the meta, and it's like, not quite. It's nice and comfy for your cards, but it doesn't change everything.
No.
However, we'll stop the hate train there. I'm very excited for Dynasty, but I would like to talk about Grand Archive.
We can talk about Grand Archive.
All right. Hold on, let me sit up straight.
Oh, we're excited about Grand Archive.
Let me get my Dragon Quest.
Grand Archive.
Okay. So Grand Archive.
Let's talk about for our Flesh and Blood viewers and listeners. So Grand Archive is a game that was started on Kickstarter about a year and a half ago, probably.
It was around like October or September of 2021. Yep. So you're pretty spot on.
Yeah, so Grand Archive started probably about a year and a half ago. At least that's when we found it. Full disclosure, we tried for a print and play of the early version, it was bad. Like just flat out.
Oh, the very first time.
The very first time we tried it, it was not very good. We, at least to our understanding, right? Like maybe we didn't get it. I know we were power leveling our heroes, which is like not so good.
Yeah, I mean there were a couple of contributing things, which was the current rules. There were no tutorials online. First off, no one made like how to plays and everything, and the rules themselves were not the best.
No.
I think you spent like an hour going over it, and we're like, I think this is how memory works. And
we were also playing it very wrong.
Yes.
We were like banishing cards. I don't remember exactly, but it was like the way we were paying for like, we thought floating memory was for cards in our hand.
Yes.
We were like banishing to not pay for that.
Yeah. That's right.
But anyway, so Grand Archive is it's a game from a company called Weebs of the Shore. They
That's like my one thing against this game entirely.
But be that as it may, and Ryan, this is primarily a Fab cast, but there's not a lot going on in Fab right now until next week. Next week will be like bulk Fab. Anyway, okay, so Grand Archive. It's a really fun game. The creatures play a lot like how Magic you would expect. So it's like you have creature versus creature fighting. You have a champion. That's the only selling point for me is the brilliant name. Hey.
If you enjoy it, that's great.
That is amazing. So, and then you play a champion that levels up. So it's very flesh and blood in the sense that like, you pick a character that you kind of resonate with or that you want to build a deck around. And I really love it. You can put any deck or you can put any card in any deck. That's how the deck building works. It's very open. And as far as like how you want to build your deck, not necessarily, you can't like play every card. Like you can't like, so there's 3 base elements. There's wind, water, fire.
Yep.
If you build a wind deck, you're going to be playing wind cards and generics, and as well as your like tier 3 element.
Those are like the specialization
when
elements.
they get to like max level, you unlock a new element, but they're like special elements or whatever. But if it's a mage card, I can put it in a warrior deck. If it's a warrior card, I can put it in a tamer deck. If it's a tamer card, I can put it in an assassin deck. There's like class bonuses where if you do actually match up to the class that's being played, so if it's a tamer card in a tamer deck and it says class bonus, you'll get like an added effect. And the game's just really fun. We're definitely going to be covering it way more on this channel. Like, it definitely will not take the place of any Flesh and Blood content. Like, that's for sure. But there will be, like, during this kind of show, whatever this ends up being, we're going to have gameplay nights where we show, not just Grand Archive, but Flesh and Blood. But we're going to show Grand Archive, and we're just really high on this game right now.
I mean, that's what I was going to say is... right now we're really enjoying just the print and play, so there's no reason not to talk about it. I mean, we love the artwork. If I think it's a great balance of typical anime stuff, but also high fantasy and that sort of thing. No, I mean, Matt and I kickstarted it at that time, and it was kind of like, the artwork's really great, and like we have a card store. So we wanted to get a jump on it. Now, the interesting thing with this card game, for me in particular, is this is the very first card game where, at the very start, I will be playing it. Flesh and Blood,
You're pretty close with Flesh and Blood, but not quite.
Right. So this, I get to see the cards early on. We're getting the Kickstarter booster boxes in, what did we just say? January.
Yeah.
And we already
around the corner.
And we already have a scene that we're building up. I think day 1 we're gonna have like 8 to 10 people, which is pretty awesome. Yep. Product may be a little scary, but there's only limited amounts. But
yeah, I mean it's very similar to Flesh and Blood in that way. In that like, it's a little different, right? Because Flesh and Blood had a hard time growing at first. It was we started Flesh and Blood community with like 4 or 5 of us. We started an armory scene at a store, and we were like it's very grassroots. Whereas this will still be kind of like that, but there's already kind of a hype. Are you going to cover Lorcana content as well? We'll see.
Honestly, and this is like not joking around. If it's a good game, sure. Like, I mean, I already like the Disney, or like the cards they showed at the forgot what convention it was.
D23.
Yeah. But if, like, let's face it, if the game's terrible, like, no. I'm sure people still collect it, but, like,
That's really what we are trying to do. If either of you are in before the Armory, I'd love to try the demo decks. Yeah, absolutely. So, I'm down to teach Flesh and Blood or Grand Archive to anyone if I'm there. I love teaching new games and new players, so definitely. What I will say is that Lorcana, as far as Lorcana goes, what James said exactly. If it ends up, I'm actually probably way more excited for it than you might be. But in general, just like if it's a good game and it's worth playing and it's worth sharing, and we enjoy it, then we'll share it. This channel and this show in particular is really just to share our love of the games that we play.
Right.
And if we end up playing it because it's good, then of course, we'll share it.
Mm-hmm. With the Disney stuff, we just said 100 times. I will get into it if the game is good. Otherwise, let's say AJ's cracking packs. If he opens like Sword in the Stone packs or certain Peter Pan packs, I'll be like, excuse me, $5.
Yeah.
But it has to be good, or else, And I do like the retro, like the Mickey card they just did. I really like that old school stuff.
Like the really old Disney stuff.
Yeah, like if they have Steamboat Willie and some of that black and white stuff.
Steamboat Willie Turbo and Donald Duck Control. I can't wait. So, Chippendale combo.
I will do a Smee aggro deck like
Smee aggro.
Like you've never seen.
I don't know if Smee would be aggro. I feel like he'd be like that whole like.
Maybe
it would be like Captain Hook.
Maybe it'd be a Pirates deck, like in Hearthstone.
Pirate Tribal, Captain Hook, and Smee.
But and the legend will be the gator, the crocodile. Excuse me, the crocodile.
It is a crocodile with a clock in its mouth. It'll be like the clock will be like an artifact.
Yeah. You have to end the game before it runs out, or else Hook just gets eaten and you lose. And that's next.
It's like a chain deck. You banish cards and you.
I'm not playing it then. I play with honor, sir. Next fall is that the like.
2023 fall, I think is correct. Yeah, I think so. Somewhere in there.
All right. Well, yeah. If it's good, we'll do that. But then with the Grand Archive. So recently, I made a Wind Lorraine deck. You made a Beast Tamer.
Wind Tamer Sylvie deck.
Yep.
And it's been one of the things I'll say about Grand Archive right now is the card pool is really small, so it's a really good time to jump in. If you want to just mess around with deck building and just see how the game works. There's already archetypes starting to spring up, so we're seeing like Fire Lorraine is starting to show up really well, and that's kind of an aggro deck, can pump out a lot of damage really fast, kind of kill your hero before they get to max.
I'm sorry. You were talking about the different variety of decks. Mm-hmm. Something AJ mentioned before was so let's say you're playing a Fire Warrior Lorraine deck. You can put in wizard cards like Fireball. Now you won't get the class bonus, but you can still mix and match, which is a really cool deck building aspect. I think of the game. So.
I think that's allowing player creativity is like a huge point. So you give the Johnnies like their ability to express their Johnniness to try to like get as like aggressive as possible or not aggressive or have these big combo turns. They can just deck build how they want, and I think that's a really cool thing about the game. I think also so far the archetypes that we're seeing is that like Fire is pretty much red decks in general. They're like burn decks and then or very fast aggressive decks. And then Wind is kind of like this mid-rangey. Lots of untapping creatures or awakening creatures or allies. Sorry, awakening allies.
Is the whole thing like I didn't know if because there is resting and awakening and memory and recollecting. Mm-hmm. It's all goes around that theme. I think Wind also has a lot of card draw.
It has a decent amount of card draw, I think, and it also has a lot of floating memory. I've seen. I want to say like the Fire decks I've seen. At least when we had the print and play Mage deck, there was not a lot of floating memory. So floating memory, pretty much one of the ways you pay costs for some of the cards in this game is you banish cards. And floating memory allows you to banish the card from your graveyard instead. So if you've already used it, it's just like a free resource on top. Yep. And so floating memory is really impactful as long as the card it's attached to is also good, at least decent. And so yeah, I think fire being the aggressive, like try to kill you as fast as possible. I feel like they want to give you a turn the corner kind of moment against fire. Mm-hmm. And if a lot of the cards have floating memory, then it would be kind of bad because they're not like giving anything up.
Yeah,
as much,
there has to be a slight handicap to having so much power and speed. That if they had floating memory on top of it, then like they wouldn't have that time where they burn out. It's not supposed to be a pun, but like aggros shouldn't just keep going and going. It should be like, well, I've held you off, now you're running out of energy. So no, I know they still have a lot of cards to spoil, so I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, they have a whole element. So we know water is a thing, but we have only seen like 3 water cards. They haven't like actually spoiled water as a whole. And so, yeah, we're excited to see what comes from that. And really, they have a whole other class too, which is the assassin class. Yep. And if you guys haven't yet, I would just recommend checking it out. GATCG.com is like their main website, just like fabtcg.com. And I think there's a lot of production value has gone into it. It's not some fly-by-night Kickstarter, try to get your money, make a crappy product, and move on. I can just already see the passion that the Grand Archive team is putting into it. Yeah. And I think it's worth your time to at least give it a look.
Something I was kind of surprised about was, I think it's only like a group of like 6 of them, and
it's very small.
Yeah,
but so was Flesh and Blood when it first started.
But like, I think it was like a month ago or so, maybe like 5 or 6 weeks. They did like a day where it was like, hey, we're selling merch, which they almost sold out of everything. But I bought a few playmats, bought a few sleeves, and when the playmats came, they're stitched.
They're so nice.
They have like foiling logo.
We don't have it here anymore. We have the store.
I have the night one, I think. I think. I may check in a few minutes. But no, everything was really high quality. The sleeves have foiling on them, and the art is fantastic.
Yep.
The only thing I would say about the sleeves is they kind of have the same deal that Magic, Final Fantasy, and some other sleeves have. You probably want character guards. Is that what they're called? Like an oversleeve.
Like oversleeves, yeah.
To protect them so they don't rip. But no, really excited to see it. And oh my god, the promo foils, like the SCRs or ones with like the gold foiling.
I don't remember what they're called, but yeah, they are really cool in the sense that they're full art. A lot of them have texture, I think, and then they even have signatures by the artist, which I think they've had them sign like. Correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know, but like they sign like an iPad or something like each time. So if there's like 70 of them, they've signed like 70 cards, and it's slightly different or whatever, but it's like actually their signature. So I think that's really cool. I think Grand Archive, I think the one thing I want to say is that it does, so what they say is that it's anime aesthetic with Western card design, and that's why I think it's worth your time, even if you aren't necessarily into the art style too much, because a lot of games, especially from Japan, they love gacha mechanics. And then when I say that, I mean like Final Fantasy has EX Burst, WeCross had the life burst.
Yep.
So these things that happen, like another one is Cardfight Vanguard has like the over trigger or like triggering, and so has the you're gonna see Cattail, and it's like, oh no, maybe not.
I'm sure he'll make an appearance,
yeah. But anyway, so a lot of these Japanese games have those like kind of gotcha elements because it does provide like some spice to the game. But yeah, this is great content.
It's just cat.
Yeah. Anyway.
All right, Ness. Okay.
So my point is that this game doesn't have that. So if that's one of the reasons you don't like games with anime art is because you're always used to like, I flipped over a card and it had some burst on it, and so I was going to lose the game, but now I won the game, and usually the other person is upset about, like, when you get, like, the burst happens against you.
Right.
It feels bad because you're like, oh, I did everything right, but...
Right. It doesn't seem like your effort and strategy is justified because your opponent's payoff was, well, they just happened to flip that card at the right time, which
Yeah.
it can be a fun mechanic, but I completely agree with you. Like, I'm glad Grand Archive doesn't really have that. The only random thing is kind of like
you banish your memory.
Banishing the memory.
Yeah.
And that's
but you can control that too. You choose what goes down there. You choose like, oh, there's a lot of cards that say like reveal a card from your memory. If it's wind, get a bonus, do a thing or something.
Right.
And so
I'm gonna move him real quick.
Okay.
Before our promo goes flying.
Right. Get a bonus or do a thing, and you get to choose those cards that go in your memory. So I will say, like, again, like, it's funny how my Grand Archive experience, anyone who knows me, I started very low on the game, but the more I played it, I actually, like, exponentially grew higher. And so I think it's a good supplement to Flesh and Blood. I consider a lot of, like, my second game to be kind of like how I have, like, I have a gaming PC. That's my Flesh and Blood, right? That's my hyper competitive. I want to play and then I have a Nintendo Switch where I just want to have fun. Mm-hmm. And that's how I see Grand Archive right now. I kind of see it as like, I just want to have fun. I can do a lot of wacky things with my deck building. I can put any cards I want to. And yeah.
That's not like a negative thing.
No, 100%
on
not
Grand
a
Archive.
negative thing, yeah.
But I also think it's very realistic to go, I can only put so much, with work and all this other stuff, I can only put so much crazy time into card games. So,
oh god, screw triggers! I'm so glad I don't play card fight anymore. Yeah, and they added what's it called, like over trigger or something like that, where like that was when I first tried the game. Was the newest like overdress or something like that. I had never played Card Fight Vanguard, and I was like, wait, what is this over trigger? It's like add 5 million attack power to your
nice,
and I was like, okay.
Did
you worked really hard for that?
So I never played it. Did Force of Will have like burst mechanics?
No,
or
Force of
like
Will was very much a answer to Magic.
Oh, okay.
Force of Will was like, hey, how can we do Magic but better? It was Force of Will has a separate land deck, so every turn you would just get one land, basically.
Kind of like Hearthstone? But
it was still like different lands. You would take a deck of at least 10 cards.
Okay.
Shuffle it, and then every turn you'd flip one over. And you could only have 4 of each one.
Oh, that's kind of cool. I like that.
So, yeah, so you would always get like a land, and you would never get flooded or screwed. It was just always the same.
Yeah.
And they even went really hard into like dual type lands. So, like, even then you were like, if you were playing like a dual color deck, you were never like super screwed on mana or anything. And then they also made it to where my favorite thing about any card game that has combat with creatures or allies or whatever you want to call them, I want to be able to attack the allies.
Yes.
I want to, like,
which allies in this is like is a creature.
It's like a creature, a monster, or whatever, yeah. I cannot stand games that have allies, like basically Magic. I cannot stand when like, I just attack, but I can't target the thing I want to target. I have to have like removal for that creature. Whereas in Grand Archive, it's like, I can attack that target. I also love games where I can go in and out of combat however I want.
Yes. I love that. That happened a lot yesterday with both of us, where a lot of strategy is added where you attack, you do this, and then you can play something and it's like, if you've already attacked, you get a buff or you get this, and it fleshes out some really neat interactions and stuff like that. I don't know how you would call that. It's just like one big main phase or one big.
I mean, that's what Flesh and Blood is too. Flesh and Blood. Again, I think honestly, it's so funny to me that like for so long I went through this like card game drought in my mind because like we had Magic, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, and I was bouncing around those games so much. And then I found Flesh and Blood, fell in love, have not looked back. Pretty much that's my main game that I've been playing for so long. And then kind of was like, there are times where I want to play something else. We tried WeCross. We tried, I went kind of dabbled in Pokemon a little bit. Thought about getting back into Yu-Gi-Oh, just wasn't like really feeling it. And then found Grand Archive, and now I'm like, yes, I have my 2 games. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, there was something about when they, I think they did like a revision of the rules. We did another print and play. It like clicked. Yeah, it just absolutely clicked. And the original print and play, I think we have played those, the Rye versus Lorraine. 50 times maybe.
I could almost like recite the cards like in the deck at this point. Like, oh, maybe not the names, but like as soon as
we know what they do.
Yeah, it's like as soon as I see it, I'm like, oh, that's the one that's discounted by 1, and that's the one that's like
And we've had tons of games where it's really close, or someone's getting to banish a lot of arcane cards, and the Lorraine player is like, I swear to God, and the Rye player is doing backflips. Have you tried
My Hero?
So,
real quick, I want to just snipe it.
Oh yeah.
Me no.
For what?
I have not.
Oh, the My Hero?
Yeah, not at all.
So for the My Hero question, so I played UFS when it was just UFS. I met some people who were on the Jasco team. There was Miles and Shane Duckworth and a lot of other key players. I really enjoyed it. Then it became Universes. I had a Astaroth complete cheese throw deck, which I loved. I played a what's his name? It's the other guy from Soul Calibur.
No idea.
Yeah, I was gonna say
you're asking the wrong person.
I was trying to think of his name. I don't know why. Dark Knight with a giant sword. I can't believe I forgot his name. I even have a playmat of him. It was a really fun game, but unfortunately, there came a point where they were like, "Hey, we're gonna work on My Hero," and it was like 2.5 years. It was a card game where for 2.5 years you had no new set.
Yep.
No OP, no anything. It was that kills most games.
No, yeah.
I don't think any game even like Flesh and Blood could go.
You have to have
for 2.5 years.
Regularly scheduled releases that are just good to go.
Yeah. So so then they announced My Hero. We were all waiting, and by the time it finally came out, I was kind of I don't know. I wasn't as attached to the property anymore. My kids loved My Hero, which is a big difference because by the time the card game came out, they were already done with My Hero. They were burnt out on it. A lot of people I know were like, I used to watch it, but like it's been too long. I think it's a good card game, but the third set just came out, and it's just like more cards of the same characters, and they reuse the same art, and it's the biggest problem was they as a store owner, they released first edition and unlimited at the same time.
Yep.
And I know about 9 stores that are like, we're done.
Funny enough, people wanted Flesh and Blood to do that.
At the same time?
Yeah, there were people during the Monarch craze, they're like, why don't they just release it at the same time? And I was like, no, that's not how it works.
No, because everyone wants first edition product, and they shorthanded that to all the stores, and then everyone has unlimited, and people come up and they go, I want a chrome foil, so I want, the first edition, and we're like, no, but we have unlimited for like $10 cheaper, and they're like,
no, but
why would I want unlimited?
Yeah.
And then people fire sale it. It's just in a rough spot. If you enjoy the game, just like with anything, that's awesome. It's not a terrible game by any means, but we're having a blast with Flesh and Blood and Grand Archive, and
just haven't had time to try My Hero. And I looked at UFS when I was getting into some other card games, looking for that second card game. And a lot of people would compare Flesh and Blood to an X. I saw your question. We'll get to that in just a second. But I don't want you to think we're ignoring you. But sorry, I called you X2. I do not know how to say your name. I'm sorry. But anyway, so a lot of people were comparing Flesh and Blood to or UFS to Flesh and Blood. They were saying like, oh, it's very similar. So I looked up how to play UFS, and I was like, outside of 2 characters fighting each other, this is nothing like Flesh and Blood. Like it's
the only thing that's similar is that I would go, so I'm doing this kind of attack, and then I go, what's your response? Like, how are you blocking this?
Yeah.
And there's very specific blocks and mechanics like that. Outside of that, everything else is kind of different. I think it's just one way to kind of get someone to play it. They're like, no, it's like it, and then when you actually get into it, you're like, it's nothing like it. You got me to hold the card,
right?
But as far as I didn't even read. Did you pick your Element 4 game or during deck building?
Yeah. So what happens with Flesh and Blood Flesh and Blood? What happens with Grand Archive as far as like the elements go is you get to choose what element you're going to pick in mostly deck building. So it's to be very like...
I was going to go get the card deck.
Yeah, so to be very, like, clear, you can actually, like, put a wind stone and a fire stone in the same material deck. But what happens there is that, like, you can only play one of them during the game, and you can only play cards with the element that you picked. So basically, most times out of, like, 99 times out of 100, I'm assuming you're going to pick the element you want to play most, like, play the cards from. So if you're going to play a wind deck, you're going to play the wind stone, and then from there, every wind card that's in your deck, you're able to play. If you played, like, a mix of two stones, you played, like, a fire stone and a wind stone, you played the fire stone, all the wind cards in your deck would literally be unplayable. And so we don't really want that, right? So pretty much it's during deck building. You're going to pick one of the colors, so either fire, wind. Here's the wind. So you'll pick wind, and then fire, wind, or water, and then you'll build your deck around being a fire, wind, or water deck. Now, one of the cool things about it is every hero, so like the warrior, which is Lorraine, the tamer, which is Sylvie, and the mage, which is Rye, you can actually pick, like, you could try to build a wind Rye deck, or a fire Sylvie deck, or a water Lorraine deck, and any other combination thereof. And so the deck building, that's one of the coolest things, is that one of the deck building is very open. And I think that's one of the coolest things about it.
Yeah. No, yeah. I brought some of the hero cards if you want to show them level up or whatever, but that's exactly how it is.
So this would be like you start here at level 0, and then you would go into a level 1, and sorry, that's not the clearest picture, and then they kind of level up from there, kind of like Pokemon. In a way, they like pretty much once per turn you can level them up, and
they all have like enter effects when they level. So it's like I'm leveling up, and now for this turn she can do something crazy, which makes for nice combos. Now the crazy thing with the wizard, who's or is it a mage? I think is with Rye, is it's kind of like an RPG. They get a lot of equipment and cards where they keep leveling. Most heroes hit level 3 and they're like, hooray, I'm level capped. He can hit like level 26.
Yep.
And there are cards that go, this spell will do 6 damage plus level. And when you architect your deck the right way and you do all this crazy stuff, you can like one-shot your opponent if they do not prepare for it. And it's a very caster thing.
It's very flavorful. Lorraine plays a lot, like, you can kind of build like a more weapon-focused Lorraine. She's the warrior, right? So you can play like more weapon-focused. You can play more like she's like a banner kind of hero, where she's like, you know, buffing all your other characters, and you're more ally-focused. And then there's Sylvie, who is completely ally-focused. And you want to you can go aggro or control with Sylvie, but you want to pretty much build this like board state of really overstated beasts and animals, and hopefully get to this point where your level's high enough where they listen to you, because there's a mechanic called Pride where it's kind of like the old Pokemon like gym badge.
That's what I was just thinking of.
It's like the Pokemon gym badge thing, where like if you're not a high enough level, they're like, screw you. Charizard is aloof. So like it's like it's very much like that, and I wonder if they took any inspiration from that. It's literally what it reminds me of.
Which, like, they do the thing where they may not listen to you if you're not high enough level, but let me tell you, like a 6'6" gorilla staring at you, like, sucks. Those things, a lot of the tamer pets hit really hard, or they have interesting mechanics, like that Phoenix just keeps coming back and back, or if you leave it on the field, it gets stronger. These damn squirrels, they come flying out of nowhere.
Zero cost squirrel. So another thing that's cool about Grand Archive, if you've played, and I know we're just like gushing about Grand Archive, but we've been enjoying it a lot, so we're gonna keep talking about it. But anyway, so one of the cool things about Grand Archive, if you played other card games, they do have a Western design set in mind, and so the numbers are readable. You don't have like unnecessary zeros. You don't have like, it's not like it's an 8,000 power, and you're like, oh, so it's an 8. Yeah, but it's 8,000.
Right,
yeah. So you don't have to like, it's an 8K. No, it's just like, it's very much like Magic level stats, where it's like, oh, and it's very readable in that sense, where like, is a 3-1 good? I don't know. Is a 1-3 good? And so you can kind of judge it almost the same way you would evaluate.
Right, and I think, mean, who knows what's going to happen later on, but for most of the classes right now, you don't have like a gazillion dice on the field or things to keep track of. The only I would say with Mage or Wizard, I keep forgetting which one it is.
It's a Mage.
It's a Mage. There are times where you have so many counters from getting so powerful and like invested in that, but I think that's kind of flavorful because the Wizard's just losing it. Like he's going nuts and like there's lightning everywhere and all the cards show that. All the big spells have like this giant
and they look
explosion.
Great. They've been posting on their I'm definitely going to try out. Do they have a digital deck builder? So there's an unofficial one. If you Google Sylvie deck builder, I'll put it in the chat. I don't have a link to it at this very moment, but if you Google Sylvie deck builder, it should be the first thing that comes up. Oh, I don't know why it's doing that. Maybe I won't put it in the chat. It's like making me log into my own chat.
Oh, all right. I mean, if you Google it, it should be like the very first thing that comes up.
Yeah, or Grand Archive Deck Builder. It's an unofficial one. The main website, TCG, has a full index of every card that they've spoiled so far. So you can always just browse it that way. How the different... Freaking Nick. How do the different classes compare to characters in Multiverse?
We always get one multiverse
multiverses question.
So we have 3, right? 3
heroes.
Yeah. So how do we compare them? Lorraine is Arya?
Sure. Arya or even Harley Quinn. One of the two.
I'm just getting through this question as fast
as Tamer Sylvie is Tom and Jerry.
Okay.
Because like it's Tom. I don't know. That seems right to me.
I'll allow it.
You know what? Tamer is Ice Climbers from Smash.
Sure.
No, Tamer's just Pokemon trainer from Smash.
Oh yeah, because you're throwing stuff in and out. Yeah. And that would leave Rye. Rye can be
Jake.
Done. We're done.
Jake the dog.
Who knows? Maybe that comparison sold Nick on the game. And he's like, oh, all right, now
Jake the dog.
I'm all in.
Iron Giant.
Yes. So other than that, they've already announced OP. They've announced.
Oh, that's probably that is probably one of the coolest things. So I might actually you can keep talking. But yeah, OP is probably one of the coolest things they've ever done.
Yeah, they it kind of reminded me of like League of Legends.
No, it's exactly.
They have like a whole ranking system with these icons and different brackets or tiers, I guess you would call it. It's all on the official site. It's a nice way to like. They have like an ELO thing worked out, and different ELOs get different awards. I think like every season. They've definitely put like a ton of thought into it. It's nice to see they already have OP planned out. I think the first major event is in Texas. Don't quote me on that. I could have swore it was Texas, which is where I think the Grand Archive team is from, or their headquarters is, or whatever. I think AJ's going to show some of this, but really quick, and this will be a fast debate because we've had this debate before. There is also a separate, quote, competitive format they have. I guess you could say it's competitive in a sense. There is a tournament format you can enter where, from what I understand, you will show up to the event. You will bring your entire Grand Archive collection, and you will sit down, and like a judge or the host or whoever will come out, and they'll go, "Hey everyone, welcome to the event. This is what we're looking for in your collection. We're looking for dragons, knights, and like ducks." And you have to make you have to present a collection with those 3 types of cards. And then they're going to look for like, do you have them like well taken care of? Are they foil? Are they first edition? Right. Are they all these different things? And whoever presents the best collection wins like these insane promos and I think limited playmats. So if you're not into very competitive gameplay, it's an avenue if you love the game for the art or for whatever.
Collecting. And it's something we haven't seen before. So real quick, I'll bring it back to our faces in just a moment. First, I want to say, like I said before, I was talking about how like this doesn't feel like just some fly-by-night operation. Like this is a really good website. I mean, it just has a like high degree of polish. And what it does have is the organized play structure. And what James was saying about as far as like how it is very reminiscent to League of Legends. You actually have like this leveling, like ranking up system to where you generate like for whatever like how
you're
you
like
want to
climbing.
you're like climbing the ladder, and you actually get like stuff based on like how well you've done for this season. And I think that's like one of the coolest things. And you get to say like, hey, like how many times in a card game, you don't really have like you have to say something along the lines of like, oh, I have X amount of elo, where in Grand Archive you can say I climbed a gold. Like I was a gold player last season, like, or I got to plat and I really wanted to get like high plat. And then there's like different things you can earn. So like promo cards, first round buys at Ascents, which I think Ascents are like calling level events.
Yes,
so,
I don't think so.
So you can get high enough in your play to where you get a first round buy. You can even get high enough where you get free entry into the Ascent event. And then of course, top 100 and top 10 get these like crazy special promo cards. And I can only imagine what the hell these go for when they come out.
Yeah. Now, one thing, I don't know if they mentioned it here. I don't know, like, let's say you hit Diamond. Do you get everything
I'm pretty
before that as well?
I'd have to, I don't want to read the website right now. Like, I don't want to go through and just read it, but I'm pretty sure you get everything behind it.
Okay.
Otherwise, that'd be silly.
Well, but, that's pretty awesome. So.
Yeah. They'd have to, like, confirm that. Don't take that by... But anyway, yeah, so, I mean... I think it's great. And then, of course, what James was saying, you also have like this like thing that I've never seen before, which is called Ascent Path of Silver. So you have the Path of Steel, which is your typical like, playing the game and how you like, rank up from there. And then there's Path of Silver. And this is all about collecting. And if you're just a collector and you're like, hey, I want to show off my collection, I've never had a good way to do that. That's what this is. They'll tell you like what they want to see and like how good your cards look, and they'll judge it, and then you'll just get like you can get more things to collect
right
based on that.
Just add it on.
And so we've talked a lot about Grand Archive, and if you want to check it out, it's gatcg.com. And we're just really high in the game. That's why we're talking about it. So again, it's not replacing Flesh and Blood on this channel at all. It's just something else we're going to cover, and we really, really love it, and we're really excited about it. Excited to bring you gameplay. I think we'll be able to grow it more in our community once we get physical cards. Right now we're just doing the print and play thing, which you kind of have to do.
And you know what? Like, to the Grand Archive dev team, this is definitely not a thing against you guys. But I just think with the way the economy is and everything, people are very suspicious until they are actually holding a pack. Then they're in.
Yeah.
Up until then, they're like, oh, there's a delay. Oh, I can't see it. Oh, like, you can't promise me this and that. So when we get the packs, they'll all be excited. Another thing that I really like, out of nowhere, the dev team made an actual trailer for like the game.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool looking. I don't know
it's
if it's on their website, but it's definitely on YouTube. I know that.
Limelight YO, hello.
It's I was gonna say, do I know that name? But no, it's awesome that you guys are that you're joining in. But no, the trailer's really neat. It's like 30 seconds. Red Zone Rogue had it on. I think it like debuted on that channel when he did his promo card. Definitely look for Grand Archive, Dawn of Ashes. I think is the first set.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
And you should be able to find the trailer there. I think they already have like a couple expansions lined up, or they have like the schedule.
Yeah, they have the schedule lined up, but it's they haven't like it says like Q3. Interesting enough, I will say I think they've taken a lot of cues from Flesh and Blood for what it's worth. They have what they call a standard set coming out in April, so that's Dawn of Ashes. That's the first set. And then they have something called a supplemental set in Q3 of 23. And that just has a code name called ARM, A-R-M. So we don't know what that is, but... and then a standard set right after that. So ALC, whatever that stands for, in Q4 of 2023. One thing I like to see is it looks like So Dawn of Ashes comes out in April, so that's Q2. And then we have a set in Q3, and then we have a set in Q4. And that's probably one thing I would like to see Flesh and Blood do more of. They have play tested set 2. That's crazy to already know that. I hope so, because I mean, usually that's
Yeah, and I was gonna say,
advanced,
the Dawn of Ashes set is gigantic. There's a ton of cards in it, so that should keep us plenty busy, not only for the first set of the game, but testing all the cards. Not to mention, you can mix all the cards into different classes. I think that's an awesome schedule already.
Yeah, so. Brandon asking, is there a co-op option similar to Arkham or Marvel Champions? I know they've talked about things like Commander, like a multiplayer format. I don't know if they have like a PvE or co-op kind of thing. That will be something I, at this point, would say hold on for Flesh and Bloods at this very moment. I mean, Grand Archive isn't even like released yet, and Flesh and Blood's actually talking about it like actively. So 2023. They've been talking about Flesh and Blood PvE and co-op. So yeah, good thing about the GA team is they are very ears to the ground, talking to the Discord every day to whoever has a question wants to talk, and that I will 100% agree with. If you go to the GA Discord, you ask a question, especially if you tag one of the developers, they're the blue names in the Discord. I've gotten an answer to every question I've asked from a blue every time, and I think that's great. I don't know what they're I don't know how they find the time, but they, even if they can't answer, they at least say they can't answer.
No,
like, hey, that's something that's in the works,
and that goes a long way into building trust with the community and all that. The one thing about the Discord that that I know some people don't like is they'll be like, "Good morning, how are all you guys?" And then it's like, Billy lost 6,000 coins. And they're like, I hate this.
So there's a bot in the Grand Archive Discord where I guess you can actually, funny enough, if you get enough coins, you can buy like deck boxes, like real life deck boxes, real life sleeves and stuff like that. There's like a little store. But the bot is very fickle.
Yeah.
I've both gained and lost 3,000 coins at once. And so, yeah, it's very fickle. But...
that has nothing to do with the game. It's just like in the community Discord, it's a little like side thing they do. But
I will agree with Limelight YO is that I think to kind of put a bow on the Grand Archive discussion, at least for me, I think it's a game that's worth your time. I think it's the art shows that they are willing to put the work in. It's not like, to me, like the art actually has like, there's a level of quality to it that's very good. The gameplay, which matters the most to me, is very, very good. And I'm just very excited for the game to come out. And I think it has a high ceiling. I hope that they can stick. Now, we had a bunch of delays with the sets coming out, these first sets. Now that they're on schedule, hopefully, I think the biggest thing for any new card game is just that reliability. You want to make it so that the people who are interested in your game aren't upset because they just can't get it.
Yeah, correct.
And we saw that hurt Flesh and Blood a lot early on. People were like, oh, it's too expensive, I can't get it, or it's been so long since a release, something like that. And so you just want to be consistent in your releases and have things come out on time. And if they can nail that down, now that they got the first set, like I'm pretty sure it's locked down, ready to go. That's what we need to see. Yeah. And I think the game will hold on. I think it'll stand the test of time, honestly. If they can... keep the game as fun as it is now and be reliant with its releases. Yeah.
Some other things that would definitely keep me interested. Just keep the OP support very consistent and reliable. There are some games, I will say, that you have to beg to get promos. You have to beg to get OP support, and that really gets old. It gets old when the player base is the one running the show, and people are spending their own money and own time into that. It shouldn't be that way. So hopefully, Grand Archive team, you guys can you do that? It was awesome how they sent all the stores demo decks, free demo box, really cool. Not a demo box, a deck box, with sleeves and that was free. It's a nice
just to grow the community. And so that's what I think. As far as my like card game career, so to speak, I'm really excited about the two companies I chose to follow. I feel like both LSS and Weebs of the Shore. Sorry, I can't say that name without
WOTS. Is that what it is?
Watts.
Okay, all right.
Instead of Watsy. But between those two companies, I think I think that my like enjoyment, my entertainment that I've chosen is in good hands.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see a company, and I get it, they're still companies, they got to make a profit at the end of the day, but it feels like they're not taking advantage of me. They're not taking advantage of my like passion and that I want to play card games and like have fun with my friends. Like, I understand I have to pay for the product, but at the end of the day, I don't feel like I'm not going to spend $1,000 on proxies. So
right, no, and even I mean, it didn't cost too much, but even spending money on these print and plays, we're getting tons of enjoyment out of it.
Yep.
So even on these print and plays, I'm like, that was worth the the $20-$25 to do it. So like, we are really excited to crack packs.
Yep.
I would love some of these super rare signed cards.
Yep.
Now, as a Kickstarter, we did get access to some of the playmats and like the metallic Lorraine card, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really neat. Either way, go check out the games. Hop in the Discord. Just join in the community. And hopefully we'll get some more information soon with like an actual like pinpointed release date.
That's so exciting. Yeah, I agree.
And I think sometime next week maybe, or this weekend it might get uploaded. But we did record like a match we had, and a lot of people use Tabletop Simulator. We have like actual
physical
Grand Archive playmats with actual cards.
We printed out cards and we played a game and we recorded it. And like I said, this is very much what you see now. Whatever this is, this is a work in progress. So this is kind of like we started last week. This is our second week, and this was a proof of concept. Are we able to stay committed, and are we enjoying it?
Right, because essentially we were eating dinner, and we're like gushing and talking about all the stuff, and we're like, well, we enjoy it so much, we may as well just do it live and answer questions and just be part of our own little group
community. Yeah.
So
I'm saying that because we want to do this, but like maybe we'll be playing the game that we're talking about, and I think that'll be more exciting. We'll be playing Flesh and Blood. I'm telling you right now, when Dynasty comes out, there's a whole bunch we're gonna have to test. Whenever there's an expansion set in Flesh and Blood, it's always like, it's always just wild. Hey, thank you, Limelight. Thank you for the follow. Whenever an expansion set comes out in Flesh and Blood, something usually gets broken. Hopefully they've tested more of that, but
it was a mistake.
We're sorry. But for better or worse, the game does change very much whenever expansion set comes out, which is what Dynasty is. We'll be playing, I'm sure, like Blitz and Classic Constructed and talking about it and gushing over the spoilers next week. But Grand Archive too. We're going to be playing some Grand Archive one week or a couple weeks here and there. And who knows, maybe if we do this enough, we do it more often. We'll have to see, but just committing to Wednesday right now is good enough.
Well, right, and as far as Grand Archive's concerned, there's only so much we can talk about because
it's not out yet.
There's a ton of cards that haven't been shown yet for the first set. So as that arrives, we'll definitely be talking about it. So
yeah. So anything else? What else going on?
Anything else that's going on?
Kind of Grand Archived there, for an hour.
Yeah, I don't know. Just I've been playing a lot of as I was wearing the shirt today. Actually,
what's that?
Pulled this out. This is Dragon Quest. They had like a ton of free Dragon Quest games on PlayStation Network. So I've been waiting for Grand Archive. I've been trying to just kill time, waiting for Worlds. I'm just like,
yeah, right, I'm really excited for Worlds. I think we're going with a group of 4 of us. First of all, I'm happy we signed up for the flights when we did, because I'm signed up for like this alert thing that's like every day it's like, oh, by the way, your flight went up another $100.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was you who said that's why. I don't know if it was Evan, but like I think the League of Legends championships are going on like that weekend as well. And
so Flesh and Blood Worlds is in San Jose. I think it's League of Legends World Championships are in that area, I guess, on the same weekend. Some other thing is there, and then of course you have Flesh and Blood World. So it's just like everything's like descending upon Northern California, and including us. We'll be flying into like San Fran or something, and then driving over. Only like 30 minutes with a rental car. But yeah, we'll be there pretty much the whole weekend playing the calling. I'll be playing the calling. You'll be playing side events. I might be joining you on side events on Sunday. We'll see how that goes. But we'll be trying to, like, I don't know, maybe there'll be something cool we can bring back for the stream / the store, hang it up.
Well, cool that's one of the biggest things is which I imagine they will. They'll have like unique merch that they haven't shown yet.
Yeah, they've announced a bunch of artists too. Like, I'm gonna pull up their Twitter because they've been just announcing artists like this whole time. Like, they've just been like, here's another artist that's coming.
Well, it was kind of like what we talked about the other day, where some people decided like, hey, I can't make it to Worlds or whatever. And I was like, well, you just go to Worlds next year. And it's like, it could be in Singapore. It could be in Europe. It could be in New Zealand.
If I had to guess, I think Worlds next year is in Europe. If I had to guess, I would like it to be in Orlando because I think Orlando, even just aside from being very selfish and knowing that we're in Central Florida, I think the Orlando Convention Center, out of all the convention centers I've been to for Flesh and Blood, has just been leagues away, far and above the best, like most cleanest one. So Wisnu Tan, and I'm really sorry if I butcher that name, but Wisnu Tan, he's the artist for Leviah and Reinar. Okay. So Brutes rejoice. You can probably get some cool Brutes. And by the way, whenever they announce these artists, it's like... you get like a lot of exclusive stuff that only the artist has, and they can sign it. Usually there's playmats without zones.
Like the artist proofs or...
Yeah, stuff like that. And so Flukenbox was able to get those, like the things we were talking about. It's like the sketches of like the Emperor's Sword and Tom heart and stuff like that was from one of the artists. James White's going to be there. Go figure.
So I imagine we're also going to get a ton of great announcements.
Oh, yeah, they have to. Usually, well, they're also doing something really cool. I mean, you have to, if you're not a Worlds competitor, you do have to pay for it this year. Or instead of what they did for Pro Tour, which is like anyone could go in. But they're doing a Q&A session, which is like the fact that James White, the CEO of the company, CEO, founder, president, whatever, head honcho of the company, is willing to go on the floor and answer questions from just people who play the game. It's not reporters. It's not like some magazine. It's not a content creator. He goes up there and just, they start a line and you can ask James White a question. Right. I think they kind of filter it a little bit. They're like, hey, what's your question? Because they don't want you to be like,
are you single? Like, yeah.
Why is the brute green?
Yeah.
But like, no, they answer questions about the game, what's coming up, and he even answers very hard questions. Someone asked him like, hey, Starvo, what happened? And they were saying like they were in testing of Starvo at the time. Briar was not errated, and there was no bans. There was no ban to Ball Lightning, and there was no ban to Plunder Run. And so when they were testing, Briar was just eating it. Just like, it didn't want to block, and Briar's like, you're not going to block, well, you're going to take 25 a turn. Right. And so Briar was eating it, and he just flat out said that. He's like, and he even, that's where I got the answer where he even said, if Tales of Aria were to come out later and not during COVID times, where, that's when they were testing it.
Or trying to test.
You're trying to test, and they had a lot of issues with testing Tales of Aria. He flat out said Tales of Aria would have probably been a very different set. In terms of like the way cards work, the way things were balanced, and so yeah,
no, it's very cool that he does that, because no matter where you are in the corporate ladder as far as the company is concerned, you can be asked a question, and if you can't respond, it looks horrible.
No, yeah.
So to put yourself in that position and just
awesome. Be honest.
Very cool.
At least I get the feeling of honesty. So, but another artist that's coming is but Livia Prima, and she is the Luminaris and Prism Sculptor of Arclight artist, and so awesome. People are probably going to be very excited for that. And then who else? I think there was one more. Lots of side events. Oh, Sam Yang and MJ. They're internal artists for Flesh and Blood, so that's a thing that we haven't seen before. So the artist for Dash and Phi, and the artist who did the Wraith map.
Oh,
and
that's really
think
cool.
MJ was also who's done all of the borders.
Oh, very
so
nice.
Like the Solana border, like all the borders are from MJ. I think that's the last thing I heard. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, she definitely did the map because it's right behind her. And the professor will be there. Yay, Tulane Community College.
Very
Yeah,
cool.
so lots of fun and exciting things as far as Worlds is concerned. It's gonna be like if you're into Flesh and Blood and you have a way to go, you should go.
Yep.
Like it's the culmination of everything that the game's been building for 3 years, and there will never be another first one. So
it's gonna be pretty special, I think. So I'm glad I'm going.
Glad we got you there.
Yeah.
It is a 6-hour flight. Here, this is prime.
Oh yes, I gotta catch up on my Brute Origin Unga Bunga.
So you can throw it.
Yeah.
About the 6-hour flight.
right at the pilot. If
No, you can't do that anymore.
If you can't make it to Worlds, this is kind of going back to Grand Archive, but I know there's a anime convention in Texas where the Grand Archive dev team will be there. You can get promos and access to the demo decks, the deck boxes, and certain playmats, I believe, because I think some of them are just completely sold out.
Yeah.
It's on their main page. There's like an events tab. You click on top, and it's like, hey, we're going to be at this place at this time. This is how you get tickets.
Yeah.
If you can go, cool. I think we were going to go, but World is like a pretty big thing. And like I said, it's the first one. So considering how much hotels, flights, time off from work, all this stuff costs, like you can only pick one.
We got to balance it. And Worlds being the first one and being such a huge event, we just had to make a choice.
Right.
Yeah. So,
I kind of think that's it. I was really happy we went over a bunch of Grand Archive and Flesh and Blood stuff. Hopefully, I mean, we saw some new faces.
Yep.
I hope you guys really enjoy it. And again, not going to give you an exact time frame. Probably over the next week, we'll upload that video of AJ and I playing Grand Archive. I think you said you were going to add commentary to kind of guide people.
I'll be talking over it for sure. And I'll be editing card images in so that
all right.
kind of see them a little bit better. It's good lighting. It's good everything. I'm excited to get that out there. We haven't done a recorded gameplay in quite a while. Also, again, a little self plug. Every Saturday, typically at 2 p.m., we do stream our Flesh and Blood locals. This week will be Friday at 7. Because there's another event going on at the store that we play at. So you check out that stream for Friday if you're into Flesh and Blood at all. We stream live commentary. Yours truly. If you like hearing my voice now, you can hear my voice then too. Because 90% of the time it's me talking. Or if every once in a while Ryan will step in and be,
Yeah, he did it last week.
Yeah, he stepped in and did a great job. And I really appreciate Ryan doing that because it let me test my deck for Worlds. So definitely appreciate that. But yeah, we stream every 2 p.m. on Saturday typically, but definitely it'll be Friday this one. Don't know about that. But I totally lost my train of thought. Thanks to that, Lord.
Yeah.
It's a good way to go out. But yeah, so typically, like I said, Grand Archive will not be replacing any content on this channel, but it will definitely be a part of it. It'll be a pretty decent sized part of it because again, my vision for Adventure Co is to talk about things and show things that we're excited about.